What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to talk about how you can actually improve your street photography by these 10 tips as well. 10 essential tips that you must know. So tip number 1, obviously blend in with surroundings in terms of your clothing. So dress casually and also carry minimal gear, as that can be a very bad thing for your back, especially as like if you're carrying around a big tripod, or you're carrying around all your gear and stuff like that you probably wouldn't really use. I would suggest not doing that because it can hurt your back, or either if you're walking around for hours it would just be a bad thing, because it's just like, why would you want to carry everything that you don't really want to shoot with? And also obviously dressing casually would just avoid drawing attention towards you. If you're wearing some flashy ass clothing, which I don't mind at all, but like yesterday I had my phone in front of me, so I was obviously going to be the one to look at, so there's that too. And also tip number 2, if you are using a subject, which I wasn't, so I was just moving closer towards your subject and add it in, like if you move closer towards your subject, you add it in depth, and you're getting closer towards the foreground as well, and you're making them stand out, and you can add in a lot of things. Obviously use plenty of elements in terms of the city, using those lines, using those shapes, using leaves or using trees, using everything that you have within your area and whatnot. Obviously Sydney is quite good, so there's that too, because there's heaps of parks, there's heaps of things to do and shoot with, especially. So number 3, I would encourage you to experiment with your camera settings. Obviously if you are new, I would use aperture priority. But I would advise using manual, so then that way you can actually learn how to take control of your camera, and also experiment with your camera and your light exposure, your ISO and whatnot, and that way it will allow you to capture the perfect shot, and also you can actually learn of what's the perfect shot and whatnot, so then that way you know what to do next. Obviously shoot with autofocus if you can, but obviously if you want to experiment with manual focus, I would suggest going for it, because but manual focus can be good. You never know street photography. So yeah. Number 4, be patient. If you are shooting with long exposures in terms of the street, obviously be patient with traffic or whatever. And if you are using your subject or whatever, if you are not shooting with a subject, be patient. But if you are shooting with a subject, then obviously just wait around for the perfect environment or element to go through or whatever that you're using. Obviously if you're waiting for a car or whatever, just be patient. Tip number 5, I was just looking for contrast lights and shadows and any other type of darks. If you are using like shapes or anything like that, you're using like a building, so we're taking photos of the buildings, taking photos of like anything to do with that. I was just shooting around there, because obviously there is types of days where there's like morning, midday, afternoon, noon, nighttime and stuff like that. So I was just looking around for those as well. That's also depending on your shutter speed, aperture and stuff like that, which is pretty much the most basic things. But just look for those contrasts and stuff like that, so then that way you don't have to do too much editing, so it doesn't look unrealistic as hell. There's that too. And then also to make your images also stand out as well, so there's that too. Number 6, I was just playing around with different angles as well. This can be very, very key. You got your low angle, you got your high angle. If you are using a drone and you can take photos with it, I was just using that in an area where drones are actually allowed. And also using reflections and leading lines to guide the viewer's eye, and also adding in yet again more elements, so in that way there's a lot more going on, but don't make the whole entire photo confusing for your audience to go, what the fuck's going on? There's heaps of things going on, and then the viewer just gets confused as hell. And also just add a bit more movement and dimension in there as well. So if you're doing a long exposure or using a fast shutter speed and there's heaps of things going on, that's the perfect time to have your subject in the middle, and then there's just heaps of cars going and flying around. Tip number 7, I was just practicing or learning how to use composition. So composition is such as like the rule of thirds, using your camera grid, so technology where you can actually see if your photo is straight or whatnot, because obviously if you are using like Lightroom or anything, obviously you can have it straight, but But obviously in terms of in camera, make sure that your composition is absolutely key, because so then that way you don't have to do too much editing with it as well, because everything has to be well, not everything has to be in camera, but you obviously want to have the perfect you know, have it straight enough, so then that way, you know, it's not so your audience sometimes go, what the fuck is going on in this photo? And so, like, you know, that technique can just create dynamic and appealing composition. Tip number 8, I would obviously shoot in black and white, or edit in black and white. I was not shooting in black and white for this for yesterday's shoot, as I was just shooting around and stuff like that. It was actually quite bright because it was like in the middle of the afternoon. So obviously bring your ND filter. That's actually my bonus tip. Bring an ND filter if you are shooting during the day, which I don't really have an ND filter for this camera as I'm renting it. And so yeah, I would suggest bringing an ND filter or not, depending if it's daytime or nighttime. Being black and white will empathize with contrast, your shapes, you know, your darks, blacks, whatever, in terms of that, because I think black and white and street photography are probably the best things ever, especially if you have graffiti in your area. It'd be quite cool. Obviously the cool graffiti do with textures and resulting into stunning images. Tip number 9, obviously be ready, be active, you know, have an NU drink and whatnot. That's quite good. You know, obviously have that reaction to shoot as quickly as you can. If you are using a fast shutter speed, fast shutter speed, and so that way you can like have a great reaction, and you can just click, boom. There you go, there's the photo and stuff like that, and also just capturing spontaneous and anything that's going around the city, because obviously everything can happen in the city, and that way you've got that photo, no one else has got it, and then you go, oh, I just got that photo, and then people go, how the hell did you get that one? Because I was very, very quick. And obviously number 10 is very, very important. If you are shooting with people that you do not know, respect their privacy and obviously ask for their permission if you can use them in your photo, and obviously ask them if you can post on their Instagram, or either contact them and then they can post and do whatever. And obviously if they don't want you to take the photo, just respect their privacy and just go away. That's all I can say. So those are top 10 essential street photographies that will assist you in terms of, you know, knowing what to do in terms of street photography. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and also follow the Instagram, and also check out the website for more music photos as well. And yeah, thank you guys again for the support and stuff like that as well. So I gotta appreciate that as well. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit.